Okay, class, so today our learning target is we're going to discuss the implications of President Andrew Johnson's policies and how the Republican Party reacted. So first of all, Andrew Johnson, he had a couple executive orders when he took office as president. Can anyone remind me of what the first one was?
Amnesty and pardon.
Amnesty and pardon, good. And what did that do?
It pardoned all the Confederates and encouraged those with $20,000 in assets to come forward.
Good, good. And can anyone tell me what all the states had to do to repatriate themselves into the Union?
Follow constitutional conventions.
Right, they held their constitutional conventions, they had to draft new constitutions, and they could not violate which amendment?
13th.
The 13th Amendment.
Slavery.
Good, good. So anyways, as we just said, should have put that on screen, it might have helped you guys a little bit. So anyways, at this time, the Congress is held by the Republican Party. So first of all, let me tell you something you might not know, that Congress is allowed to refuse to seat its members if they need to, or if they feel it's important to not seat anyone. So, after finding out about these constitutional conventions and the black codes, how do you think Republicans felt?
Well, given how the Republican Party was structured at the time, I can imagine they weren't too thrilled with it.
Right, they were not very happy about the black codes, because we know that Republicans, they were anti-slavery and they were pro-social reform. So anyways, now that all these states are back in the Union and they have all their representatives, now that you know that Congress is allowed to refuse to seat its members, what do you think that Republican-held Congress did at this time? Any guesses?
They refused to seat those members.
Right, they refused to seat all the new members. They were really angry about these constitutional conventions. They thought that they kind of violated everything that the party stood for, and probably violated a lot of what Abraham Lincoln's plans were for the Union before he was assassinated. So anyways, they draft a bill. Can I get a volunteer to read this for me? Sean, will you read aloud?
Be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled, that all persons born in the United States not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States, and such citizens of every race and color, without regard to any previous condition of slavery or involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall have the same right in every state and territory in the United States to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, and give evidence, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, and convey real and personal property, and to full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of person and property as is enjoyed by white citizens, and shall be subject to like punishments, pains and penalties, and to none other any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom to the contrary notwithstanding.
Good job. So this is just the first paragraph of the Civil Rights Bill. So let's break that down. What is kind of the overall message we're seeing here in this bill?
Anyone currently who lives in the United States now has all the same rights, no matter what race they are.
Absolutely. Of course, I mean, and we'll get to this later, as you see, excluding Indians that are not taxed. So they're not getting, we'll get to that lesson a little later in the next unit. However, yeah, this is saying that essentially anyone born here in the US, whether you're black or white, you are a citizen. And so this was a huge step, and this is really kind of the Republican Party reacting to those black codes. So, first of all, how we get Congress to pass the bill. What does it mean if a president vetoes a bill?
He overrules the bill that was just proposed by Congress.
Right, he overrules it. And so Congress then, they can override a veto. Does anyone know how much?
2/3 majority.
Good job. 2/3 majority of Congress has to vote to override a veto of the president. And so they do that. Congress is able to override the veto. They pass the Civil Rights Bill. So now this bill is enacted. What's the last step? What do they really have to do to solidify this this piece of legislation? It has to do with the Constitution.
Amend the Constitution.
They have to amend the Constitution. So they now put this Civil Rights Bill, it makes it into the Constitution, and once it's in the Constitution, it doesn't come out. So this was a huge step in Republican Reconstruction, making all African Americans citizens of the Union. So good job. That's the lesson for today, and we'll pick up where we left off tomorrow.